more time. Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Do you fancy spending the next 20 minutes of your life watching a northern used car dealer buy a cheap Citroen C4 Picasso and then moan about it? If so, it is your lucky day. Yesterday I bought this 2013 Citroen C4 Picasso from a main dealer. They'd taken it in part exchange against a brand new car. It's done 115,000 miles and it's been described to me as being quite clean. Now here's the thing, I paid just £750 for it, which seems too cheap. Suspiciously cheap. I should point out, I haven't actually seen this particular car yet, but I had a quick look on Auto Trader and they're going for 2.5 grand, 3 grand, so there should be some profit here. As you'll have gathered from other videos, I'm not a Citroen fan. I detest Citroen in general, and the C4 Picasso in particular. There is one saving grace here though, it's not the Grand Picasso, it's just the regular Picasso, so it isn't the big bus, it isn't the 7-seater, and crucially, it's manual, not automatic. That hateful semi-automatic gearbox is just, it's rubbish, absolute rubbish. In fact, I think the last one to feature on this channel got scrapped. I seem to recall now that I took a loss on that car, but I was just pleased to get another one of those cars off the road, so it felt like a win. And as we all know, Citroen in French translates to lemon, which is a very appropriate name. Right then, we're not too far away, let's go and have a look. Well, we're here. Still looks like a cheap car, that, you know. Looks very modern. It is slightly better looking than the C4 Grand Picasso. Yeah, I think for £750, I think that's alright. A little bit of body damage down the passenger side. So the passenger side sill is obviously caught a high curb because that's stoved in right in the middle. That's quite common on these kind of cars. They've got quite a long wheelbase, so it's quite easy to catch things. Also, I suppose these kinds of cars have often got screaming kids in the back, so the driver probably has got other things on their mind. There's a taped up wing mirror, or door mirror. Still looks cheap though. I'm not too negative about this. It's from the northeast originally. Yeah, I think that looks alright. I've bought worse. Right, as always then, let's do a vehicle history check using Car Vertical. So all you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the reg or the VIN. Now in this case it is November Lima 13 Yankee Echo. Check vehicle. If you want to do one of these checks for yourself, and I urge you to do so before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike, use my promo code HIGHPEAK and you get 10% off each and every check that you do. Alternatively, click the link below in the video description. So as you can see, this is currently checking dozens of countries' databases and it checks hundreds of millions of cars. It'll tell us whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. For example, that's the kind of car that could have well been to France on holiday or something, so if it's had an accident in France, it wouldn't be recorded in the UK, but this will tell us. And just like that, it's all done. So, yeah, it's all clear on all fronts. So that is a 2013 Citroen C4. It's never been stolen, the mileage is fine, there's no outstanding finance, and there's no recorded damage. Perfect. Let's check the MOT history then. So it was last MOT'd in May this year at 109,000 miles, and it's done about 10,000 miles a year. Quite consistent. There is one error there at 22,000 miles. Let's see what that is. I'm guessing that's just an MOT tester putting the wrong mileage in. It's the 1.6 diesel. It's failed a lot of MOTs, this. Failed a very lot. So in May this year, it failed on loads of things and then passed with no advisory items. That's quite good to know. Right, I suppose we should go and have a look around it, shouldn't we? Got to be some profit in that, hasn't there? Got to be. Famous last words, but I'm still optimistic. Right, let's go and have a look then. First piece of good news I can tell you is that we've got both keys. And they're not all holy. I can't see the circuit board, which is unusual. And they've not gone all limp. Not a bad start, is it, for a Citroen? My powerful mirror works. The paint is very, very dull, very flat. And you can see here, it started to rust. The paint's flaking off. Terrific. I suppose it is 10 years old now, isn't it? I always forget, a 2013 car, in my mind, is still quite new. We're on a Davanti back here, on about 3mm of tread, so not too bad. And my light lens is cracked. No, they look alright. Needs a very good clean though. Got matching lookers plates. What have we got here? What sort of... I'm supporting my local air ambulance. Very good. Good for you. Yeah, very dull. This would actually come up with a good buff. We've got a matching Davanti up front on about 3mm, so they must have been replaced at a similar time, I would say. I don't know whether they all had this or not, but it's got the the bigger windscreen, so you can take on more light. Only the French would think of something like that, wouldn't they? Got a gaffer taped wing mirror here, but it did fold in and out, so got a Devante here that's very worn on the outer edge where it's been curbing wheels, probably outside a school or something. But yeah, that has hit quite a big curb, hasn't it? And there's some more damage here that someone's tried to touch in carefully. We've got a matching Devante around the back as well. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, this. That should be where the model name is. It looks alright, this. Lots of moss and mould everywhere. Why didn't that have any resistance then? There we go. Very big boot on these. The jack's been out. Someone didn't bother putting it back. How clean is it? It was described to me as being quite clean, and it is. You get loads of storage with these, don't you? Anyone left us any treasures anywhere? Suspension was very bouncy then, wasn't it? You get 3 individual seats, which is good if you've got a kiddie seat, I suppose. No glass roof, but you do get picnic tables in the back. Look at that. And climate control for back here. It's all very, very Citroen-esque, isn't it? That it doesn't work. But I suppose you can see why people buy these, can't you? Perfect kid buses, really, aren't they? Got a blind there built in, they're cheap to tax, it'll do 50 miles per gallon. You always have a clicking check strap there. And this one's no different, sound of quality. My seat's all worn away there. We've got a rubber mat that isn't original to this car. We've got some battery bulbs in there. Ow! I feel like Peter Griffin. I always catch myself on these. These and Mark III Focuses. The dash just sticks out too far. So here is all the climate control, which is always often the last place you'd look. And I've got, well, I'm spoiled for choice here. I've got 3 glove compartments. Got one here with a key. Another one here with more bulbs. Like the Coca-Cola truck, this, isn't it? And what have we got here? Cigarette lighter that's never been used. I might have that for my collection. Locking wheel nuts. Well, there's no service history that I can see. We do have big, thick armchairs. Is there a drawer under there? No, there is not. Is there a... Nope. Quite often on cars like this, like the Peugeot 5008, it has a drawer here where the service folder would live. My OCD's got the best of me. I'll pop that back in there. Right, well, I've got no service history then. Nothing behind the seats either. It's not for lack of places to put the history, is it? Automatic lights, flag of St George there, hiding the radio, keep the thieves at bay, very good. That's an aftermarket Sony unit. I can see the DAB aerial up there. Well, this isn't the worst thing ever, and most importantly, like I say, it's manual, not that dreaded, hateful semi-auto. How many warning lights have we got? Due a service in 4,700 miles. Look at the fuel. Saying that, it's a Citroen, it could be a dodgy sender unit. No one leaves a full tank of fuel in, do they? Economy mode active. Let's fire this up, shall we? Right, well, there was quite a loud rattle then when I started this up. Like something's loose under the bonnet. Shall we have a look? Let's go and investigate. No more compartments where the history could be, are there? No. No. Just checking it didn't have a secret drawer like a lot of VWs. very tightly compacted into there, isn't it? I never like it when you can see floor through the engine bay. Right, well, there are no damp patches, it's all quite dry. No rust on the top mounts. Chassis legs are straight. That is about as much as I know about mechanics. Bonnet's very light. It's probably plastic. As are the wings, look at that. Hey, managed to get in that without whacking my shin. Yeah, something's loose there. I'll have to get my mechanic to check that out. But you get this little busman's mirror there to keep your eye on your noisy children, as well as the standard rear view. And what have we got here? St. Christopher protects us. It's nice. That combined with that suggests they might have been a churchgoer. Might have bought a vicar's car here, guys. You can read the advert now. Right. Well, should we drive it then? Put myself out of my misery. See if there are any faults with it that I can tell. Right then. We disengage the handbrake just by... Huh? It works. The last one of these I had was just stuck on, or stuck off, I can't remember. Whichever it was, wasn't good. We're very loose on the front end. Suspension arms or something want replacing, or the rubber bushes. There's also something under there that's causing some sort of rattle. That's not good, is it? Can you hear that? I'm not on about the knocking noise, that's suspension related, I can live with that. The actual, there's like a grinding noise which could be some sort of drive shaft or gearbox. It's not good, is it? On the bright side, look how nifty the steering wheel is. The centre doesn't move. Very clever. There's definitely a noise there. Definitely a noise. Pulls all right. Oh no, we're slipping. Did you hear that? Well, now I know why it was cheap. We've got a noise. We've got a slipping clutch. You hear it? Slipping clutch and some sort of gearbox noise or drive shaft noise. This wasn't quite as described then, was it, this one? I mean, it's a cheap car, so I can't really go back kicking and screaming, can I? So, what do I do? It's got to be worth something to somebody, hasn't it? In parts or something, I suppose. I think... No, the bodywork's not great either, is it? I was just about to say, I could put a clutch in this for probably £400 or £500. My dual mass flywheel isn't rattling if... I don't know if this 1.6 has one. Well, it's not rattling anyway, so it would just be a clutch. So you'd be looking at £450 probably. That would stop that problem. Suspension arms and bits, parts are quite cheap on these, so that's not the end of the world either. Sorry, I'm just trying to work this out in my head. If that's some sort of drive shaft, it might not be the end of the world, but if it's gearbox, then it's not worth repairing, is it? You shouldn't have gone then. Sorry, guys. What do I do then? I think I'm going to run this down to my mechanics and get their opinion on it. See if it's savable or not. Because it's still a £2,500 car, this. £3,000 maybe. What do I do? The bodywork, I suppose, I could fix the sill and then buff the whole car. That might cost me £350 maybe. Could spend £1,000 on this car quite easily. Then it would owe me £1,750. If I got £2,750, there's £1,000 profit, but there are better cars to try and get £1,000 profit out of, I think. Let me see what they say. I'm just intrigued what that noise is. I quite like it when I diagnose things correctly after years in this miserable job. I mean, the noise goes away when you're in neutral, when you're just coasting. So it's not a bearing noise. It's not a bearing noise anyway, I know that. A bearing noise is a bit more of a hum, and that's a grinding noise. And there's the old clutch. She's a rider. I did warn you at the start of this video that I might spend 20 minutes moaning, didn't I? So it shouldn't come as any surprise. In a funny sort of way, I'm quite pleased that the old Citroen lived up to its name. There was me thinking I got some profit. Oh, no, it's not worth it, is it? I was just about to say, the other thing is we've got no service history. Oh well, right. Let me catch up with you then in probably a few hours' time, actually. This shouldn't take long to diagnose, should it? I'll have an update for you then. Cheers, guys. And we're back in the Citroen. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant Citroen. We're back in the Citroen C4 Picasso, and I'm about to dispose of it for £600. Which means I've lost £150. That gearbox is making a right racket, isn't it? It means I've lost £150, but to be honest, I'll be quite pleased to see the back of it. I took it to my mechanics and they confirmed that the clutch was indeed slipping, and there was indeed a noise in the gearbox, and there was indeed some sort of suspension component that needed to be replaced. Now, had it just been one of those things, had it just been the clutch, I could have done it. Had it just been the gearbox, I could have had it repaired. Had it just been the paintwork, I could have had that done as well. But all three, unfortunately, no. Or as they say in France, malheureusement, no. So it's not worth going any further with, unfortunately. And I do hate doing that. I quite like to save everything, even if it is a 10-year-old, 114,000 mile Citroen. But I think sometimes you've just got to know when you beat. And this is one of those occasions. It's quite a shame, really, because it does drive. It drives all right, really. Apart from the slipping clutch, obviously, and the noisy gearbox. But I mean, it looks all right, apart from the flat paintwork and the damaged sill and the scratches. Don't really know where I'm going with this. Anyway, I've agreed to sell it to a friend of a friend who's either going to fix it up or break it for bits. So I think ultimately that is the right decision. And I've only lost £150. It isn't the end of the world, is it? I was going to say at least I've had some pleasure from driving it, but that would be incorrect. I do quite like driving something with a slipping clutch. I don't know why. Oh, I sold that. That is a Kia Picanto 1.1 Glamour. It done very low mileage. I think it done 20,000. I'm rambling now. Right guys, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. See you next time. Hopefully I'm not in a Citroen. Hopefully I'm in something with some profit in. See you next time.